Well, now that we understand a little bit more about JavaScript, I'd like to go to our project site and try out just a little bit. So let me close this document that we've been working on. And I'll go back over to my working files and open up the website project. And I want to add something to the Chinatown page, so we'll just open that up. First, I'll go ahead and double click it so I can open it up in my browser and we can remind ourselves what it looks like. And next, let's go ahead and open it up inside of our text processor so we can make modifications to it. Now you can see it's just a basic page. We've got a little picture up in here and some descriptions of the Chinatown and other elements. So what I want to do is add in a button, and then we'll call a JavaScript alert that will give our user some information. Let me go back over to our document, and we'll add some elements in. The first thing I want to do is add a button element. So I'm going to do that right after the image tag we have here showing the lantern. I'll add a line right underneath it, and we'll add our button tag. And I'm going to go ahead and add the onClick event and call a function right here. So we'll add onClick, and we'll set it equal to a function that we'll make soon called showDate. Since it's a function, I'll need some parentheses at the end, and I'll just close the quotes up and finish out our button tag. Inside the button tag, we want a label. And for that, I'd like to use "Come Celebrate Chinese New Year." And of course, I'm going to close the button tag at the end of that. And just to keep my HTML clean, I'm going to close the top paragraph and set our text up in a new paragraph just to keep things nice and neat. Now, of course, we have not written our showDate function yet, but let's save our changes and make sure it's looking pretty good. I'll go back to my Chinatown page and refresh it. And there we can see our button's been added and the paragraph moved down a little bit. And now we want to go ahead and add the function that's going to pop up the alert box for us. So let's go back to our document again. Our document doesn't have a script tag yet, so I'll put it where we had it last, and I'll put it down at the bottom of the document, right before the close body tag. I'll go ahead and put in a close script so we don't have to worry about that later. And here's where we're going to add our function. So I'm going to start off with the function keyword. And we'll name our function. Of course, we've already picked a name up in our code up at the top. It was showDate. And I'll add the parentheses after it, so it's a correct function. We need grouping braces for the block of code that will be our function. And then inside those grouping braces, we need to add our statements. In this case, we're just going to call the alert function again. Not being Chinese myself, I know it's kind of hard sometimes to figure out the Chinese New Year. So our alert box is going to tell people when that is this year. And I think in 2013, it's February 10th. So I'm just going to add that as a little message. We'll close quotes after my message for the alert box. I'll close the parentheses, and we'll put in a semicolon, and our function is finished. Now we've got two parts going here. We've got our button at the top that calls the function, and of course, we've got the function that does the work. So let's save our changes. We'll go back out to our document, and we'll refresh and try it again. I'll just go back down to our button and click, and there you can see our alert pop up. Our user finds out what date Chinese New Year's is, and they can click OK and go on with the rest of their browsing. Well, now we've seen the basics of JavaScript, but in the next chapter, we're going to take a little deeper look into what's going on inside of JavaScript itself. I'm doing this not necessarily to make you a better programmer, but mainly to be able to recognize different kinds of structures when you get scripts from people. I know for myself it's a lot easier when I can read through a script and sort of understand what's going on, especially when I have to debug and troubleshoot the script to get it working. So we'll be continuing on with a little more JavaScript in the next chapter.